Wake up! I'm Doug, and this is the Taste and Sensibility channel. And today on coffee review number 11, we're looking at another Brazilian coffee from a single source, an estate in a certain region of Brazil that I roasted myself and just brewed just now. And we're going to taste it together. And I figured out that I need to pour the coffee and let it be cooling while I show you on the map where things are. So this is from the Chapada region. Of Brazil. So I got my bearings. There, that's probably good. So I got my bearings last time on review number 10 by looking at Rio de Janeiro, Sao Paulo, and Belo Horizonte. And this region is up here in the Cerrado. It's called Chapada de Minas, or de Minas. I don't know the Portuguese pronunciation, but it's up in this area here. It's a pretty large estate. It's on some rolling hills, and it's flat enough where they can use some mechanized harvesting equipment. It's likely a very large estate. So we will be smelling and tasting this. And here's the beans. I usually shoot for a medium roast. And they're just starting to turn darkest brown. They never get oily when I do this, and they have plenty of flavor. I'm really shooting for the sweetest flavor and not really going for the darker notes, although they're interesting and good when you get them. So here on the nose, it's dark, rich, earthy. Looking for nuts or fruit or chocolate. Don't get anything like that, but my nose is not great. So I'll try a little sip and see if it's too hot to proceed. Wow. Dark, deep, rich. Jumps right out of my mouth, but notes. If it's that normal plumminess, no, it's not. I'm not sure what to call it. There's a fading bitterness at the end that's not unpleasant at all. It's just a note. So dark, earthy. It might be a chocolate back there that develops. We'll see how it goes as it cools down. This is deeper and richer and more complicated. Without some kind of singular fruit poking out with some, I'm not getting any kind of nuttiness. Just this deep dark thing that's earthy and could have some chocolate notes in it. So very good. And not much like the other things we've had. So what's this bag say? Starts nutty, ends full-bodied, sweet. So I don't know what kind of nut they're talking about, but there's a sweetness to it. But it's all mingled together with an earthiness and dark, toasted, roasted things. Something got cooked. And not to the point of being ashy or bitter. But it's pretty interesting. Wow. This is not like the other coffees that we've had so far from Central and South America. So this is fairly interesting. So this is grown at 2,400 feet or 730 meters or so. It is 70% Catuai, Couture Vermelho, which I haven't seen before. It's a separate variety, and 30% Mundo Novo. So that's it's a unique combination we haven't seen. From the Chapada region, a natural process, which I think means a lot of fermentation of the fruit. And Fazenda Santa Rosa is the estate or farm where it's grown. Rolling Hills in the region of Chapada de Minas. Really special natural process coffee. Gives it a softer nutty acidity and a somewhat fruity taste. Extremely popular with espresso aficionados and widely used as a base in espresso blends. So I might do this one a little darker and do it in my espresso machine. So I've been looking for one of these. This, the 5-pound bag shows it's available in the wholesale section of the Smokin' Beans unroasted beans catalog. So I paid $20 or $24 for this, most likely, for 5 pounds. So that's on the order of $4 a pound for unroasted beans. And then there's not really a clock ticking on when to use them. I could wait a year or two, and whenever I roast them, that's when the clock starts ticking to use it up in 3 or 4 weeks. So this is a really good buy, really good deal. I get lots of different things. And here, I can't really say I identify a fruit, but it's would definitely be darker. Darkest plums, darkest cherries. Might be the notes I would pull out. And then I can't say I get a nuttiness. It is faint, it's distant, and I certainly couldn't identify it. But there's a slight bitterness on the finish that's attractive, appealing. It's not a problem. So I really like what I'm getting here, and different than the others have been. So a good choice for lots of coffee drinkers, and I might be exploring the espresso side of it as well. So let me get a little bit more for the cream test. Now the coffees have been very similar to a large degree, and they always give me the same kind of notes with cream in it. So here we go. We'll see if this one's different or the same as the others have been. So with the cream, it is deeper and darker and richer than the coffees and cream have been to date. I still get a butterscotchy note and a chocolate milk note, but everything's darker, deeper, richer, fuller. I think I over-poured the cream as much as I usually do to get it in there, but everything's fairly dark and deep and rich, and I did not roast the beans that dark. This is not the almost black stuff that sometimes comes out of my roaster. And there's no oiliness on the outside. They're kind of shiny, but not oily. Very uniform and beautiful looking beans. And good with cream. It's not the light desserty thing. It's a deeper, darker, richer desserty thing. So that is working out well with the cream also. So excellent experience, excellent coffee. And the second topic today is Syphon Brewing, which is very interesting, but you have to do it at a stove. So I'll show you a little video clip shot in my kitchen, and then come back for a little tasting at the end of that. So this is a demonstration of the Syphon Brewing method. So the gear consists of this carafe with a neck there sized just for this apparatus. And then the important part is this upper chamber that has a tube and a rubber seal. And maybe the most important part is this filter disc, just a metal mesh covered by a cloth. But it has a spring-loaded clip down here that holds this to the bottom of the tube. And then that holds a lot of tension on this filter disc, and that stays in one place. So, what we're going to do is put in 1,070 grams of coffee, of water into the carafe. That's the first dose. My usual cup won't hold that much, but this ought to come right up to the 8-cup mark, which I think is the maximum here. And it's not facing you, so let me show. Yeah, there's the 8 cups. And then we're adding 67 grams of that Brazil de Minas coffee. Kind of even out the bed, make it nice and level and flat as possible. And this coffee and water ratio maintains my 16:1 ratio that I usually use, which is kind of on the strong side, I think. And I ground it a little bit finer than usual. I'm trying to make it a little bit stronger because some of the water stays behind. And I want to make sure it's not too weak. So there. My usual coffee water ratio, but finer grind. It's going on the heat. And then as the water heats up, it will go up the tube, mix with the coffee, and then the heat will be removed. There'll be maybe a minute brew period. The heat will be removed. And the coffee will go back down into the bottom chamber where there will be a vacuum as it cools. So you will see all these things. I think the water is already going up the tube. But I can't see any evidence that it's in the upper chamber yet. So once you work out the details of this and know that it's going to work for you every time, this could be a fancy display at a dinner. If you can have it at tableside burner or something like that, you can make the coffee on the table or on maybe a burner outside on a grill, and it's kind of showy. Have the water go up and then back down into the carafe. Now I'm starting to see some darkness at the bottom. Maybe there's some water creeping in. So the first half cup of water has gone upstairs. There are cups. Everybody has different size cups in the coffee world. That's why I use grams. So one thing that controls the contact time between the coffee and the water in the upper chamber is how fast you do the heating down here. The slower you go, the more contact you'll have. So that's one of the variables you have to work with when you want to make adjustments. I would do coffee water ratio first, and then I would do the size, fineness of the grind as a secondary thing. Then heating time is important, but you shouldn't go over medium with this plastic handle and this device. Other devices may vary. So the coffee bed is rising along with the water in the upper chamber. Oh, maybe I should have been stirring all along. I'm going to steady the pot with my hand. Okay, that might be the limit. That might be the limit, and I'm going to start a timer for 1 minute. So I'm pulling this off the heat. Now the vacuum in the lower chamber, as the heat has gone off, is pulling the water back down. So when I had it stirring, the vortex caused a big mound to form right in the center. So now it's pulling air. It's still vacuum conditions in the bottom chamber, and it's pulling all the air and hopefully more coffee, more brewed coffee, down into the bottom chamber. So I'm going to wait till it's not active anymore. It's close to the 8-cup mark. You expect a little water to be trapped in the upper chamber in the coffee grounds. Okay, I'm going to call that done. Then you can twist off, gently break the seal, and there's not a lot of dripping. Okay, let's go taste. Okay, here is the siphon coffee I just made. A new clean glass, cup, taster. Looks pretty dark, I can't see through it. It's pretty dark here also. Smells about like the auto drip coffee did, if I recall properly. But I will not try to taste it while it's that hot. Going to pour a second one, just to have it cooling. So that'll be shot 2. Fairly deep and rich. I like the aroma the first time from the auto drip. Flavors are weaker, sweeter, less earthy, less deep and rich. Can't believe it's that dark and tastes weaker. It tastes watery. Like the recipe didn't have enough coffee in it or too much water. But the notes that are there are good ones. So there's a sweetness. There's a bit of a creaminess. Interesting. Kind of shows you a whole different palate. There are deep and rich notes on the nose, and there are some of those on the palate. It's just that the coffee's weaker, and those notes don't get your attention the same way. So I would recommend a little more concentrated brew, more coffee for the amount of water that I did. And I would let it brew longer. Once all the water has left the bottom chamber and it's up there with the coffee, you can keep it up there by keeping it on the heat. So you might turn the heat down and just keep that pressure going up and give it some time up there. I tried to set a timer and have it go 1 minute after all the water was gone. So you can play with that time, the brewing time, where the coffee and water are together in the same chamber. Making sure that lasts a minute or two after all the water is up there would make this better. And then the fineness of the grind as it drains back down through the coffee bed. You can control that time or that drain time with the fineness of the grind. So there's no wrong notes, there's no bitter notes, there's no over extraction. I haven't done anything wrong as far as pulling bad things out of the coffee. I just didn't pull out all the good things. I didn't pull them out in the amounts I wanted to have. So that's going to happen with every new brewing method that you come across. Is it takes you a while to dial in and get the hang of it and understand that method with this coffee and what you're shooting for, what you're used to, what you're trying to achieve. So this is certainly an adequate caffeine delivery system for the morning. So that's why if you're going to show off a dinner with a Syphon Brewing, you need to know exactly what your ratios are and how well it works and where some of the things might go wrong. But this is a pretty cool brewing method and not good for 1 or 2 cups for sure. You want to use the as much volume as you can of the carafe because of the way it works. Leave some water behind. It'd be a good thing to explore. So let me remind you to like the video, give it a thumbs up down there, leave a comment down there, leave a question, and subscribe to the channel. And click that bell to get notified when the new videos come out on Mondays. So our next one will be the last South American coffee. It'll be from Peru. And then we'll have to move on across the Atlantic Ocean and to find other coffee growing regions. So come back for that and cheers.